November 21st to November 23rd tornado outbreak that occurred in 1992. You may have not heard about this one before, and understandably so, I haven't either. This is an event that has mainly been lost to time, simply. This mainly has to do with the fact that it's not well documented, given the fact that it's 1992. So, of course, first of all, starting with the overview, there's an estimated up to 143, if not more, to at least 95 tornadoes reported. The Wikipedia article for this outbreak says around 95, 96, and it does say that some NWS sites have it upwards of 100, has like 103, 128, 140, 143, and sometimes even more. So don't really have a true number on the amount of tornadoes, but we can at least say at least 95, hopefully. Aside from that, this event would injure 641, deal more than $300 million in damage, and would kill 26 people. All of the storm reports from this outbreak are seen here at the top right, and an image from I can only assume a GOES satellite at the time, possibly GOES 7 or 8. Is seen here. This is the storm system that would produce the outbreak. Aside from that, there were 6 violent tornadoes, and all of them are F4s. There will be 6 notables here. This event is also called the widespread outbreak, and this is because it spanned from Texas all the way to Maryland and up to Michigan even. Well, I mean, Michigan has a wind damage report, but Indiana, I guess I'll say. So, pretty cross country, if you ask me. And a sounding to give you a depiction of the conditions at the time of the event, of course. We have a sounding from Lake Charles in Louisiana, the weather balloon data. At the time this balloon was launched, they were right in front of the storm system. This gives you a much more clearer perspective of the conditions, like I said. As you can see, we have some pretty good shear at pretty good levels. And if you notice here, we have your 3,200 joules per kilogram of CAPE, which is pretty good. Pretty good for tornadoes. I don't have a lot of pictures for this outbreak, and I do apologize for that. But we'll start with the first notable here, which occurred on the 21st. This is the Galena Park to Dayton, Texas, F4. This tornado would rapidly widen to 1.6 kilometers wide, which is a mile wide. A mile, by the way, is 5,280 feet. Yes, I've memorized that. This tornado would track almost 50 kilometers, 48 kilometers, would thankfully kill 0, but did cause 15 injuries. This tornado actually managed to touch down in Houston Ship Channel, which is not a YouTube channel, but is actually one of the busiest seaports in the world. And from what I can assume, that is also where the majority of the injuries came from. And this F4 is actually only one of 2 F4s to ever hit the greater Houston area. So this not only includes Houston and its suburbs around it, but further out than that. I guess the suburbs of the suburbs even. The next notable here, which I thankfully do have more than one picture of, is the Hopewell to Weir, which I always want to pronounce Veer, Mississippi, not Minnesota, Mississippi, F4. This one also occurred on the 21st of November. The track seen here is 205 kilometers long, and along this path it would injure 122 people and kill 12. This tornado managed to course through mobile home parks, but would also, due to the fact that it's F4 strength, and if you can imagine, destroyed quite a few well-built brick structures. And the town of Meridian is circled here with this track, and also circled here with this hand-drawn image of radar to show you just how far in this hand-drawn image, how far the supercell and therefore the tornado have left to go in the track, which is just under halfway through, I would assume, or from what I can guesstimate. And of course, some pretty intense tree damage from this tornado, and this in the middle picture. The third notable here, which I also thankfully have a track of, is started in Weisner and ended in Newton, Mississippi. This is an F4 that, for the third time, occurred on the 21st. This is a just longer than average with a mid-range path of 65 kilometers and caused an unknown amount of casualties meaning deaths and injuries. This tornado would mainly track through Beanville National Forest, which is labeled here, and in the track image that I have here. But it did end up destroying some homes at the end of its life. One of those destroyed homes is pictured here at the bottom left. Or sorry, actually this is a church that is destroyed here. My mistake. But nonetheless destroyed by this tornado. The fourth notable here, and the last notable that I have images of, I have images for. I do apologize for the lack of images again. The Pine Mountain to Hickory Flats, Georgia F4. This one occurred on the 22nd of November, and its track is circled here in pink. A relatively short path of 32 kilometers, with no reported casualties. Once again, casualties meaning deaths and injuries. Some eyewitnesses do record seeing two funnels, so it is possible that this was either just a twin funnel tornado or possibly twin tornadoes. We don't know. We don't have enough evidence to back up twins or even twin funnel. What we do know, however, is that this tornado would damage more than 320 homes. I want to say it's around 350-ish. And would destroy around 100 of them. And even destroyed a church while it was in service, but as you can suspect from the no reported casualties, you can only assume that there were no deaths or injuries that occurred when the church was destroyed, which is a miracle. That's good stuff. Thank you, God. Kiss, kiss. The fifth notable here, which occurred on the 22nd, the Etheridge to White Plains, Georgia F4. This tornado would kill 5 people along its unknown track. What we do know is that it was up to a mile wide, which is 1.6 kilometers in places. So varied in width a fair bit. Again, no photographs, but we do know is that it destroyed over 120 homes in just 2 counties. The last notable here occurred in North Carolina and happened on the 23rd. This is the Bar Claysville to Elizabeth City, F3, again in North Carolina. This tornado was relatively improperly surveyed, injured 21 people, and holds the record for the longest tornado track ever in the state of North Carolina. 256 kilometers. That is insane, simply put. We also know that there was consistent F3 damage with this tornado, so worthy of the F3 status. And even through a school bus, which had kids in it, unfortunately, and caused all 21 of the injuries. By the way, the school bus was weighing 12,700 kilos. Through this school bus, over 90 meters, which is insane, absolutely crazy. But very thankful that nobody died from the school bus being thrown. And again, that is the last notable here. I don't have any images here because relatively poorly documented, and I hate that it is. I swear the 74 Super Outbreak has more photos than this thing, and this is 20 years after. But aside from that, significance of this event is simply that it was a classic setup at an uncommon time and in a relatively uncommon place. Most November outbreaks occur in Hoosier Alley, or Hoosier. Hoosier Alley incorporates parts of Illinois, so eastern Illinois, all of Indiana, Ohio, as well as possibly as far south as Kentucky and even Tennessee if you want to go that far. But mainly just Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. But this one affected Dixie Alley, which includes Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida. This event is also one of the longest outbreaks in history at 41 hours long. And yes, this is shy of 72? That is 3 days. But again, keep in mind, I've said this before, that a gap of 6 hours between outbreaks is not allowed for an outbreak to continue. And so this usually occurs during the night hours when tornado activity resumes. Those days are stitched together into one outbreak. And the last part here that I've been harping on is that this event isn't well detailed and therefore isn't well known. And that's all I have for you on this event that has mainly been lost to time. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you guys in the next one.